We are learning to drive on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. What we experience is what you learn. Overseas life tips. In order to make life easier in a new cultural environment, many new immigrants choose to settle in their own ethnic groups. They continue to use their native language and are reluctant to use the local language. It is precisely because of this habit that new immigrants enter a vicious cycle by choosing to avoid any other language because it is less comfortable. This ongoing avoidance means that their language ability cannot be improved. We focus on practical details and encourage everyone who is learning English to share new experiences. We are working hard to create a lower cost and more effective language learning method for Chinese people living overseas studying English. Today, we want to share with you some practical English words and expressions about how to learn to drive a car in Australia. When driving in Australia, one of the most important things to note is that the vehicle is driven on the left side of the road. Seatbelt. Used over the shoulder and lap to hold each passenger safely in their seat in case of accident. When attaching a seatbelt, we can say, "Put on the seatbelt" or "Put on your seatbelt." Because of legal requirements, drivers and every passenger in the car must use seatbelts. If the police find that the driver or passengers in the car are not using seatbelts, the driver will face a fine. It is the driver's responsibility to ensure the belts are used correctly by each passenger before starting the car. Many newer cars will provide a signal to the driver if any doors are not properly closed or if any seatbelt is not used by any passenger. Starting the car, starting the engine or motor. Ignition of the car is a common expression in Chinese. In English, the use of the language is more direct. Start the engine using the ignition button by pressing it or using a key. Steering wheel. This is for control, guiding, driving. We say turn the steering wheel to move to the left or right. We hold on to the steering wheel without turning it in order to move forward straight ahead. Gear or gear stick. To move the car forward, we place the gear stick in D for drive. To reverse after stopping, we change the position of the gear stick to R for reverse. Handbrake. Use or apply the handbrake to keep the car from moving after stopping. Brakes. You can say hit or step on the brakes in plural because there are more brakes than just one brake on a car. The turn indicator on the dashboard. Use the indicator to tell other vehicles your intention to turn. Rear view mirror. Rear view mirror. There is only one rear view mirror, singular. Side mirrors. There are left and right mirrors on each side, namely on the front passenger side, the left, and on the driver's side, the right. While it might be possible always to engage a Chinese instructor to avoid using English while learning to drive, it will be better to engage English-speaking instructors for most of the time while learning, especially as English will be required during the road test. Here are some language-specific terms that we might encounter during learning and finally during the road test. Examiners who perform exams at the test centre usually check the candidate's vehicle first, and if necessary, this will include a series of checks. In order to ensure that the indicator lights of the tested vehicle are working properly, the inspections are likely to include the right or left turn signal. You might hear, "Show me that your right or left indicator is working," or "Put on the indicators." Using the brakes. While stationary, press the brake pedal to check the operation of the exterior brake lights. After the inspection is completed, the examiner will sit in the passenger seat of the candidate's vehicle to supervise the test. From parking to getting started, you will hear, "Now you may drive off." Now you may drive off from here, but "from here" can often be omitted. Turn right or left at the next intersection with traffic lights, or turn right or left at the next set of lights. On first hearing "set of lights" before learning to drive, and when asking for directions, it is possible to be confused and hear "satellites." If the native speaker speaks very quickly, these two pronunciations can seem very similar. Roundabout ahead. The sign or the image shows you the sign that will be on the side of the road when you are approaching a roundabout. Turn right at the roundabout. In Australia, roundabouts are very common, being islands in the centre of intersections around which traffic must rotate in a clockwise direction. There will usually be 3 or 4, and sometimes more, exits from the road round the central island. With your GPS, you will hear, "Take the first exit," "Take the second exit," or "Take the third exit," etc. The second exit is often, but not always, the one which is straight ahead in the same direction as that used when entering the roundabout. In other cases, there may be no straight ahead option as the traffic is being directed into left or right hand possibilities. It is vital to note the key road rule at roundabouts, which is always give way to another vehicle that is already on the roundabout, or which is entering the roundabout at the same time, or in the very near future from the right. This rule is often ignored, and it means that you must watch out for vehicles with no legal right of way taking the space in front of you, even when you are extremely close to entering or already on the roundabout. Regardless of your legal right to continue, if that vehicle is going to cause you to hit it, you must do your best to avoid doing so, even when you feel that other vehicle is wrong. Provided you have a clear pathway forward, do not hesitate and proceed steadily in your direction if no vehicle is too close on your right, and if no vehicle is approaching on your right at a dangerous speed. Roundabout question. Here is an image for you to look at and decide which vehicle may have the right of way in going straight ahead in the direction of the blue arrow. Does the yellow car have the right to turn into the pathway of the blue vehicle? This is a matter for you to think about. You can write to us, you can ask questions, and we in turn will discuss this in a future research project. What do you think? Send your opinion. Lane change means moving from one lane to another when moving in the same direction as other traffic, after checking that no other vehicle is too close. Among 3 special skills that are most often tested in the exam are U-turn. At a T-junction or at traffic lights where a U-turn light and U-turn permitted sign is displayed. Parallel parking. The instructor may say, "Do reverse parallel parking here." Finally, let's look at the mistakes that people may make during the exam. I hope that everyone will be wary of these potential points in the process of studying this article. But if anyone is nervous, I hope everyone can understand the feedback of the examiner. Traffic lights. The examiner may say, "You have ignored the signal. You have run a red light. You have ignored an orange light." The yellow light spoken about in China is called an orange light in Australia. Remember not to ignore a red light. When the orange light is flashing, be sure to stop the car as quickly as possible while ensuring safety. Here is a picture of a traffic light, currently set at green, with a red arrow prohibiting a right turn. Speeding. Speeding in the exam is a big issue. Remember not to speed, but also not to be too slow, as the examiner will think that you are not confident. So, do not speed, nor drive too slowly. Cutting off when lane changing. Do not cut someone off without preparing enough time and distance from other vehicles. Do not cut another vehicle off by changing lane too fast. Tailgate someone. Driving too close to someone else, or including driving too close to the vehicle in front when approaching a red light. If you like our sharing, we will work harder to bring you more things to share. If you have a topic of interest, we will research it for you and share the results. If you want to tell us about your experience in Australia, let us know so we can help others who are learning practical English. You are welcome to submit a manuscript or to contact us at gchigherlearning@gmail.com or Facebook GC Higher Learning, or with a message at WeChat.